Once upon a time, in a small, peaceful village near the Himalayan Bay, lived a young boy named Bharat. He was well known throughout the village for his short temper and restless mind. Bharat's thoughts were always racing, like a storm that never settled. His peace of mind had vanished, leaving him lost in constant worry and stress. Because of his temper and troubled mind, his relationships with his family and the villagers had worsened, making him feel even more isolated and humiliated. This only deepened his mental stress. One day, while walking through the village streets, Bharat came across a Buddhist monk meditating under the shade of a tree. The monk's face reflected pure peace, and Bharat was immediately drawn to him. As he approached, he felt a positive energy radiating from the monk. It seemed clear that this immense peace was coming from within the monk. Bharat sat down nearby, waiting patiently for the monk to open his eyes. After a while, the monk opened his eyes and saw Bharat sitting in front of him, looking stressed and filled with negative emotions. Bharat spoke with a longing in his voice. "Master, my mind is restless, and my thoughts are overwhelming me. I can't find peace, not even for a moment. Can you teach me how to calm my troubled mind?" The monk, understanding Bharat's pain, looked at him with compassionate eyes and said, "My dear child, let me tell you a story. The secret to peace and happiness is hidden in this story. Would you like to hear it?" Bharat nodded eagerly, his curiosity piqued. Once, in a distant city, there lived a man named Shakti. Shakti was a very ambitious man, always seeking approval and success from others. Every time someone spoke of failure or criticized him, he would sink into deep anxiety and stress. He believed that achieving success and power would bring him the happiness he desired. But the more he chased success, the more he felt overwhelmed by stress. One day, Shakti met a famous Buddhist monk named Mahakashal. Mahakashal was a wise man who taught his followers the art of meditation. Shakti was so impressed by the monk's deep concentration that he decided to ask him for guidance on how to calm his restless mind. "Master," Shakti said, "I am always chasing after success, but no matter how much I achieve, I never feel truly satisfied. How can I find peace in the midst of all this restlessness?" The monk looked at Shakti with kindness and replied, "Your mind is like a wild river, always flowing and never still. To calm your restless mind, you must learn to let go of your thoughts without holding on to them." Shakti was confused. "But how do I let go of my thoughts when I am so attached to my desires and ambitions?" he asked. The monk smiled and said, "Imagine you are holding a glass of water. The longer you hold onto it, the heavier it becomes. Eventually, your hand will start to ache. But if you let go of the glass, the weight disappears. The same is true for your thoughts. The more you hold onto them, the heavier they become, causing you pain. Let go, and your burden will lift." Bharat listened intently, absorbing the meaning of the story. He realized that clinging to his thoughts and desires was only making his life more difficult. The monk continued the story. Following the monk's advice, Shakti began to practice letting go of his thoughts. He would observe his thoughts and feelings as they came and went, without attaching any judgment to them. Over time, he learned not to hold on to his thoughts. They would arise and then disappear on their own. As he practiced more deeply, Shakti began to understand that his desires and emotions were the cause of his suffering. The more he focused on the present moment, the more peace he found within himself. His mind became like a calm lake, reflecting everything around it with clarity and stillness. He found joy in the simple things in life and let go of his attachment to material wealth. Soon, word of Shakti's transformation spread, and people from all around came to seek his guidance. He became a symbol of peace, teaching others how to let go of their thoughts and find peace within themselves. At this point, the Buddhist monk paused, allowing the meaning of the story to sink into Bharat. The boy reflected deeply on the story's message and, with new understanding in his eyes, softly said, "Master, I see the wisdom in this story, but how do I apply it to my own life? How can I calm my troubled mind?" The monk smiled warmly and replied, "The journey to calming the restless mind begins with self-awareness. Each day, Take time to observe your thoughts without judgment. Notice how they come and go, just like clouds passing through the sky. Bharat closed his eyes and, following the monk's instructions, began to observe his thoughts. As he did, he realized how his anxieties and desires constantly flowed within him, creating turmoil. But amidst that realization, he also felt a small sense of peace. He began to understand that he was separate from his thoughts and feelings. The monk continued, "Just as Shakti let go of his attachments, practice releasing your troubling thoughts and emotions. Accept them as they come, without holding on, and then let them go. Focus your attention on the present moment." Bharat interrupted, "But what if my thoughts and emotions are too strong and refuse to leave?" The monk nodded in agreement. "There will be times when your mind feels overwhelmed. In such moments, return to the power of your breath. Close your eyes and focus on the rise and fall of your belly as you breathe. Your breath is always with you, a constant reminder of the present moment." Bharat did as instructed and focused on his breathing. To his surprise, he felt a deep sense of peace. He realized that his breath was a tool he could use to ground himself whenever his mind wandered. Seeing Bharat's progress, the monk smiled and said, "Calming a restless mind takes patience and practice, just like strengthening a muscle. With regular effort, your mind will find peace." Bharat thanked the monk, promising to follow his teachings and embark on a journey to find inner peace. From that day on, Bharat set aside time each day to meditate, releasing his thoughts and staying present through his breath. As time passed, he found a deep sense of calm within himself. News of Bharat's transformation spread, and soon, villagers came to him for guidance. With the wisdom he had gained from the monk, Bharat helped others calm their troubled minds, sharing the teachings of self-awareness and mindful breathing. Over time, Bharat's influence grew beyond his village, reaching neighboring towns and cities. Bharat became a beacon of peace, reminding people to live fully in the present, pay attention to their emotions, and act with awareness in everything they did. Small changes in how they lived brought miraculous transformations in their lives. People learned that true happiness comes from living in the present moment. And so, the teachings of Bharat and the monk continued to spread, changing lives far and wide.